It's 6:14 in the morning. The house is still. The coffee pot has just started dripping. Your kids are asleep in their rooms. Then it happens. 3 heavy knocks. Not a friendly tap. Not a wrong house knock. Boom, boom, boom. Your body reacts before your brain can even process it. Your heart is pounding as you walk toward the door, every step slower than the last. You glance through the peephole. 2 figures, dark jackets, big white letters, ICE. One of them already has a hand on the doorknob. Another round of pounding, louder this time. Open the door. We need to talk. This is the moment no one teaches you how to handle. And here is the reality. Most people only understand when it's already too late. What you say or don't say in the next 60 seconds can decide whether you sit back down at your kitchen table or spend the next few days in detention, followed by a flight that changes everything. Right here, at this door, knowing what to say and what not to say can stop everything from sliding out of your control. Saying the wrong thing can close off options you didn't even know you had. Most people in this situation don't lose because they're criminals. They don't lose because they're dangerous. They lose because of one tiny decision in the first half minute. They open the door. They answer a simple question. They try to be polite. They try to explain. And in that instant, their case is effectively over before it even starts. No judge, no hearing, no meaningful chance to fight. Immigration officers are trained for this exact scenario. You are not. They know how to sound calm, friendly, and reasonable while guiding you into handing them what they need. The system is set up so that if you don't understand your rights, it moves against you very fast. By the time we're done here, you won't be guessing. You'll know the key phrases, why they work, and the 2 things you must never do, no matter how scared you are. Because once you understand how this really works, you stop reacting in blind fear and start protecting yourself and your family in a clear, deliberate way. Before we go deeper, let me tell you who's talking to you and why this matters. I'm Sophia. What I'm sharing is not theory, not rumor, and not exaggerated for drama. These are real scenarios that play out every day in homes across the country. Families who thought they would get more warning, more time, more protection than they actually did. My goal is simple. If this ever happens at your door, I don't want you to freeze, panic, or accidentally damage your own case by doing what feels natural in the moment. This isn't about arguing with officers or creating a scene. It's about understanding your rights well enough to protect yourself calmly, legally, and intelligently when it counts most. Here's the hard truth. Almost no one explains. Nearly everyone who loses in these situations loses for the same reason. Not because they're bad people, but because they don't understand the rules of the system they just got pulled into. Immigration enforcement is not random chaos. It is a structured process with laws, procedures, and tactics. The officers at your door know exactly what they're allowed to do, exactly what they're not allowed to do, and exactly how to persuade you to do their work for them. They are trained to create urgency, confusion, cooperation. Most people, especially decent, respectful people, walk straight into that trap because they believe being helpful, honest, or polite will protect them. It doesn't. The law doesn't give you extra credit for good intentions. It deals with what you do. Once you take certain actions, often without realizing their impact, you can't simply rewind. That's why this is not about becoming a legal expert on the spot. It's about avoiding the most common traps that cause people to lose access to their rights before they even reach a courtroom. The first trap is the one that catches the most people precisely because it doesn't sound like a trap at all. The officer doesn't start by yelling or threatening. Instead, you hear something like, "We just need to ask you a couple of questions," or "We're looking for someone named Carlos Martinez. Is that you?" It sounds simple. It sounds like a yes or no will clear it up. Your instinct kicks in. You don't want trouble. You don't want to seem rude. You assume that if you answer honestly, this will be over quickly. But the moment you say, "Yes, that's me," something crucial happens. You've identified yourself. You've confirmed you are the person they're searching for. You've given them the first piece they came to collect. They are trained to turn your own words into evidence. Silence feels rude. Legally, silence is protective. talking feels human. In this context, talking is usually the fastest way to lose control. They are not at your door to help you tell your story. They are there to build their case. Every word you offer makes that job easier. The second trap looks official. That's what makes it powerful. An officer holds up a document and says, "We have a warrant." That single word, warrant, makes most people feel they have no choice left. But here's what almost nobody understands in time. Not all warrants are the same. There are two main kinds: administrative warrants, ICE warrants, judicial warrants, the court signed. An administrative warrant is signed by an ICE officer or supervisor, not a judge. It may have a government logo, look formal, say warrant across the top. But if it's not signed by a judge from a court, it does not give ICE the right to come into your home without your permission. Only a judicial warrant, or with a judge's signature from a real court, allows them to lawfully enter without your consent. If you open your door just because you see a piece of paper you don't fully understand, you are giving up your strongest protection. They are counting on you, not knowing the difference, being too afraid to ask, letting fear decide instead of information. Once that door is open, the balance of power shifts heavily in their favor. The third trap appears later, once fear and exhaustion have set in. If you are detained, officers may place forms in front of you and say, "Sign here and this will be over faster," or "It's just routine paperwork." In reality, some of those forms are voluntary departure or stipulated removal documents. Voluntary departure sounds harmless. It sounds cooperative, but signing one often means you are agreeing to leave the United States. You are giving up your right to see a judge. You are waiving rights you didn't even know you had. Once your signature is on that paper, undoing it is incredibly difficult, sometimes impossible. Officers may rush you, downplay the consequences, suggest that refusing to sign will make things worse. That pressure is strategic. Speed benefits the system, not you. Nothing they slide in front of you at that moment is just paperwork. It's a decision about your future. Signing without legal advice is one of the most common and painful mistakes people make. Now, here's the part that changes everything. The law itself is not automatically against you here, even if you have no legal status. The U.S. Constitution protects every person inside the United States, regardless of immigration status. 3 specific protections matter most in this situation. 1. Fourth Amendment. Protection against unreasonable searches and entry into your home. Officers cannot legally enter your home without a warrant signed by a judge or your voluntary consent. If you do not give permission and they do not have a judge-signed warrant, they do not have the legal right to come inside. 2. Fifth Amendment. Your right to remain silent. You are not required to answer where you were born, how you entered the country, how long you've been here. Silence is not admitting guilt. It is a constitutional right. 3. Right to an attorney. You can say you want to speak with a lawyer before answering questions. This is not disrespectful. It is smart. ICE officers know these rights exist. Their job becomes much easier when you don't know how to use them. So let's make this simple enough to remember when you are half asleep, scared, and under pressure. This is your action plan. Step 1, do not open the door. You can talk through the closed door, speak through a window, ask questions without unlocking anything. The second you open that door, you lose protections. They can see inside. They can claim they saw something that justifies entry. They can place a foot or shoulder in the opening. Keeping the door closed is not being difficult. It is exercising your constitutional rights exactly as they were designed. Step 2, ask one critical question. Calmly through the closed door, do you have a warrant signed by a judge? Not just a warrant signed by a judge. If they say no, or push a paper under the door that is signed only by ICE officials, not a judge, your answer is, I do not consent to you entering my home. You don't argue. You don't apologize. You don't explain. If they keep pushing, you repeat it. I do not consent to you entering my home. Calm repetition is your strength here. Step 3, use the 3 words that protect you everywhere else. If they start asking you questions at your door, in the hallway, on the street, you say, I remain silent. If you want to say more, you can add, I am using my right to remain silent and I want to speak to a lawyer. Then you stop talking. No extra details, no trying to tell your side, no nervous small talk. Talking feels like it will help clear things up. In this context, it almost always helps them, not you. Step 4, do not run, do not lie, do not fight. Even when fear spikes, nasha, do not run. Running can escalate the situation and give them an excuse to use force. Do not lie about your name or identity. Lying can turn a civil immigration issue into a criminal charge. Do not physically resist. That rarely ends well and can seriously harm your case. Staying calm and verbally asserting your rights is far more powerful than trying to physically outmaneuver officers. Step 5, do not sign anything without a lawyer. If you are detained and they push forms in front of you, your response stays the same, no matter what they say. I will not sign anything until I speak with my attorney. That sentence can preserve your ability to fight your case. They may say, it's just a formality. If you sign, you'll get out faster. Everyone signs this. Your future is worth more than saving them time. Step 6, prepare before anything happens. The best defensive move is done now, not at 6:14 a.m. Memorize or write down the phone number of an immigration lawyer or community legal aid. Keep the number in your wallet, on the fridge, and in your phone. Make sure your spouse or another family member has it too. If you are detained, you typically get a phone call. That call is only useful if you know exactly who to call. Remember, these same principles apply away from your front door too. If you're stopped on the street, at work, at a bus stop, or in your car, the key question is, am I free to go? If the officer says yes, leave calmly. Don't argue. Don't linger. If they say no, then you assert your rights. I am using my right to remain silent. I do not consent to any searches. I want to speak to a lawyer. And then again, you stop talking. Silence is not passive here. It is active protection. Now ask yourself something important. If this happened tomorrow, would your family know what to do? Would your spouse know how to respond? Would your parents freeze? Would your children be terrified and unsure? That's why this information cannot live in your head alone. If this helped you feel clearer, treat it as preparation, not just content. Save it, share it, talk about it at the dinner table, not to spread fear, but to build calm, because calm comes from knowing exactly what to do when others are trying to rush you into bad choices. Make a simple family plan. Who calls the lawyer? Who watches the kids? Where are important documents? Does everyone know? Don't open the door. Don't answer questions. Don't sign anything without an attorney. Knowing your rights does not make you guilty. It does not make you suspicious. It does not mean you're hiding something. It means you respect yourself and your family enough to understand the system you're living under. Every single day, people lose their chance to stay in this country with their loved ones, not because they're dangerous or dishonest, but because they didn't know what you now know. The system is complicated by design. Confusion works in its favor. Knowledge works in yours. Staying silent, asking for a lawyer, refusing entry without a judge's order, these are not acts of defiance. They are exactly what the Constitution allows you to do. Once you truly grasp that, fear loses a lot of its power. You stop reacting on autopilot. You start making conscious choices. Remember this above all. This system does not reward panic, long explanations, or trying to clear things up on the spot. It rewards clarity, restraint, knowing when to stop talking. Those 3 simple words, I remain silent, aren't magic because they stop ICE from doing anything. They matter because they stop you from making their job easier. Every answer you give, every door you open, every signature you put down helps build their case. When you Keep the door closed. Ask if they have a judge-signed warrant. Say you remain silent and want a lawyer. You force the system to slow down. And when it slows down, real rights matter again. That's where lawyers can work. That's where judges can hear your story. That's where time opens up for advocacy and protection. You can't guarantee the outcome, but you can refuse to lose your case in the first 30 seconds because of fear. If this gave you a clearer picture of what to do, don't let it fade when you close this window. Send it to a parent, share it with a cousin who just arrived, post it in your community chat. Information is not just power, it's protection. And protection is how families stay together. If you want to keep learning how to stay prepared and a step ahead of a system that often depends on people being confused, make sure you're subscribed and your notifications are on. I share guidance like this regularly, so you're not blindsided. I'm Sophia. Know your rights, protect your family.